Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper detective secrets. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper detective secrets. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you might feel like your ex doesn't care about you. It's my belief that most dumpers do care, and are also likely to try and keep an eye on you. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 ways that your dumper may do this by exposing dumper detective secrets. Even if you want your ex back, some of these techniques are immoral, if not outright illegal. So if you feel your ex is doing one of these options, you might want to take the appropriate action. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is spy friends. So these may be mutual friends or people that you aren't even aware know your ex. And this can work in a few different ways. So first of all, you may have a mutual friend that you of course see in person, you at least speak to on the phone or send a text to. They are your friend as much as your ex is. And even if this person, this mutual friend, may say to you, hey, whatever you tell me, that's absolutely fine. It's honest and it's genuine, it's safe with me. I'm not going to be passing this on to your ex, because I'm somebody you can trust. Even if your friend tells you this, if they are a mutual friend, there is every chance that your ex has asked them for some information about you. They might play it off as saying, look, it's no big deal. It's not really a big problem. Just, I want to know how they're getting on. Is my dumpee okay? How are they feeling? And your mutual friend might see this as a genuine and understandable request, and therefore they pass the information on that you have told them. That's why I always suggest that if you are speaking to a mutual friend, please imagine that your expert dumper is standing behind them, because anything you say to them might go straight through to your ex. But this isn't just about mutual friends. This might be somebody that you felt only you knew, or maybe you don't even know them yourself that well. And obviously, therefore, you couldn't know if they were to be in contact with your ex as well. You might not understand the dynamic because this person is new into your life. Now, how could this be? Well, there can be many different ways that this can take place. Maybe, for instance, you go to the gym and there is somebody who starts having conversations with you. You think that you're just getting to know them for the first time. You have no idea that they know your ex. Now, whether or not this is some type of plant, whether or not this is your ex telling the person that they know, hey, look, I know my dumpee is likely to go to the gym at this time. If you happen to be in there at that point, because I know you use that gym as well, then maybe if you just let me know how they seem, maybe have a conversation with them. These types of things do happen. They might not be overly common, but I've known instances where that exact situation did take place. So it can happen. Probably more common is regarding social media. Maybe, for instance, your ex is directly viewing your social media, but with us connecting to point number 1 and the term of spy friends, your ex might be asking a mutual friend of yours to let them know what's going on in your life, because maybe you are no longer connected to your ex on social media. Maybe you were never connected to your ex on social media. And instead, you're thinking, okay, I'm not with my ex on social media here. They can't see what I'm posting. Yes, I've got some mutual friends, but I'm sure they're not going to pass things on because they've told me they won't. Again, like I said earlier on today, they probably will if they feel it's no big deal, if they feel it's doing it for the best, because your dumper may be playing it as saying, look, I just want to know if my dumpee's okay. So this mutual friend might not think they're breaking your trust, because they believe they're doing the right thing. Now, if this is somebody that you didn't even know knew your ex, or maybe somebody new into your life that you've only recently connected with on social media, then this is how they can pass that information on. Now, this isn't all bad. If you want to try to get your ex back, I always suggest that you showcase your self-improvements. And if you're a dumpee and you're living your life to the full, that is why I would suggest that you want to make sure that your profile is public. Because if you are living your life in a way where you're posting great things about yourself, you need to make sure that this does get back to your ex. So sometimes this might not be seen as a negative. Whether or not you realize your ex is finding this information out, they probably are. And like I just suggested, it could be via face-to-face contact, it could be via social media profiles where maybe you have a mutual friend or maybe a new connection you've made has now actually connected with your ex and you didn't even realize that. And this is one of the reasons of how your ex can find information out about you, even if you didn't realize they were. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper detective secrets. And point number 2 is fake profile. So again, this is why I always suggest keep your social media profiles public, because you don't know who may be viewing it. And if you're posting the right things to try and intrigue your ex, you want this to get back to them. But maybe you are assuming that this might happen because your ex will click your public profile and actually just viewing things for themselves. You might think that is the likely way they'll go about this, but sometimes a dumper might actually create a fake profile. And this fake profile isn't just on social media. I'll be getting onto that in just a moment. But from a social media sense, you might find out that you've got a new friend request. You might find out that you've got a new follower. And perhaps that isn't something that you think too deeply about. Maybe you're not the type of person who thinks, okay, where do I know this person from? Do I know them from somewhere face to face? Do I actually know them? Maybe you're not the type of person who really cares too much about that type of thing. And if you fall into that bracket, you could easily accept a request, a follow, a friendship, or maybe your profile is public, so you just notice they are following you. You could find out that one of these people that you didn't think was your ex is actually your ex because they've created a fake profile. Again, I've spoke to many dumpers and I know this takes place. The fake profile system that dumpers implement, as well as dumpees, is very common. I'm not saying it's something that you should do. I'm not saying that it's morally correct. I'm just saying it happens. And I'm not just saying that it happens purely on social media, because the other element to this is online dating. Your ex might make a fake online dating profile. Once again, I know this has happened. I know this happens. I'm not just speculating. It does take place. If you're using online dating and you're swiping through or looking at profiles, and maybe you realize somebody's looked at your profile or you've received a like or whatever it may be, you might not realize that that person is actually your ex the dumper. Maybe they want to find out some information about you via your profile. Maybe they actually want to speak with you. Okay, I'm not trying to make you paranoid. I'm not even saying it's very likely, but what I am saying is that it does happen. It happens because I know it happens. I've had people tell me that they've done it. I've had people tell me that it's happened to them. So sometimes a dumper will actually make a fake online dating profile just to keep tabs on you, just to kind of a look and see what's going on. This might be the difference between them wanting to reconnect with you or not, wanting to see if you're living your life to the full, wanting to see if you're living in a positive way, wanting to see if you've made improvements. Now, whether you think this is morally right or not, whether you are happy about this or not, I'm just here to tell you that this is one of the ways that dumpers can be a bit of a detective. They can make an online dating profile, they can try and find you online dating, and they can either check out your profile or they might even start a conversation. Now, if you would like support and guidance moving through your breakup recovery, if you would like support and to try to increase the chance of getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper detective secrets. And point number 3 is tracking your location. Now, so far we've been talking about things which aren't necessarily illegal. They might not be quite morally correct, but whether or not they're illegal could be something that you debate. This, on the other hand, could possibly move into that realm. So this is a tactic that can range from somewhat innocent in nature to stalking, which is of course terrible whether you want to get your ex back or not. A more innocent example may be you and your ex shared each other's location on an app during your relationship. And since the breakup, maybe you forgot to switch this off. So if this was the case, your ex might then randomly realise that they can see your location and not really help themselves from occasionally looking to see where you are and trying to build a picture of your current lifestyle. Now, you might be listening to this and not be bothered at all. You might be quite happy and thinking, wow, I like the idea of my dumper doing this. I want them back. Or this might start to creep you out. Well, if this is creeping you out, the next element of what I'm about to say, sadly, will take you to the next level. Because other types of tracking using deliberate methods become more creepy, and although rare, do sadly occasionally happen. If you ever find something suspicious, then it's important to let people know and consider what actions you might need to take. Now, these type of tracking devices are illegal. The way people might track someone can vary. I'm not going to be giving anybody any ideas because it's not a good concept. You might be listening to this as a dumpee and thinking, well, I like the sound of that. No, you shouldn't. Okay, whether you want your ex back or not, whether you were going through the grind or not, you should not be moving into morally corrupt and illegal behaviour. It's not going to help you get your ex back. And if you're on the receiving end of this can be very, very worrying indeed. But let me just say that if you believe that you are being tracked, if you've noticed something which just doesn't seem right, something which shouldn't be there, something which just doesn't fit in correctly, then I suggest you speak with your friends, your family, and maybe take this further if necessary. If your ex-dumper is going to this length to find information out about you, I think it probably goes beyond the point of them just seeing whether or not you could reconnect. And it goes into a creepier, unfortunate level where I don't necessarily think you should be reconnecting with somebody who could go to that stage of what we're speaking of. The point of today's podcast was trying to explain, dumper detective secrets, the methods next might use to find out a little bit of information. And some of it, as I said, might be deemed as harmless, asking a mutual friend whether or not you are living your life to the full, whether or not you seem happy within yourself. That could be deemed as quite understandable, something which is very natural. Going right to the end of the scale of what we're talking about now, about deliberately tracking. There's a whole range of this, and you have to decide whether it is understandable and acceptable for them just to see whether or not you may be able to reconnect, because perhaps there was a reason why they ended the relationship, and they want to know if you're living your life in a different way. Maybe that is understandable to you. But some of the things I've been mentioning today, especially towards the end, go beyond that. And whether or not you want them back, I don't think necessarily they could be a good fit for you if this is the level they get to if they want to find something out, because that goes above and beyond what is acceptable. And like I said, if you're thinking of doing this, please don't. Now, if you find out that you and your ex are connected via you can see each other's location because of some mobile phone app that you're still connected to, that isn't necessarily to the same degree of a tracking device. But again, you might kind of think to yourself, right, I'll have a little look. But it'll get to the point where you really should be disconnecting that element. Not only is it not fair if they have not understood and realised what you can still see, but it's not going to help you. If you keep checking your ex's location, if you are trying to keep finding out information about your ex, it's going to drive you crazy. It's going to drive you wild. It's not going to make you feel good. And this is why when it's the other way around, a dumper doing certain things regarding this might then get to the stage where they reach out to you. Some of the softer, more understandable approaches could be steps towards them eventually reaching out and maybe you reconnecting. But a dumper will only be doing this because it starts to play on their mind. It starts to pull on them. It becomes addictive. Finding out information, checking up on somebody. What are they doing? Where are they going? Are they spending time with somebody else? Do they have a new girlfriend? Do they have a new boyfriend? It becomes addictive. So it's not only morally corrupt, it's not only possibly illegal, but it's certainly not going to help you. If you're listening to this as a dumpee and you're checking your ex's social media, that's not going to help you. I always suggest leave your social media profile open so you can have an effect on your ex viewing your improvements, but please don't check theirs. And maybe this actually means you can't do the first point of that. Maybe you have to remove your social media because your mental health must come first. And if you can't resist checking your ex's social media, then maybe you have to come off it full stop. But if you can prevent yourself looking, maybe turning off notifications, doing anything you can to stop it popping up on your feed, if you can stop looking, but you leave yours open, that is the perfect position to be. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to know the signs that your ex wants to come back, please click the middle of the screen right now. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.